Hey everyone, so in our last video, you saw me use Gemini to create a product interview. Basically, Gemini interviewed me about something that I wanted to create. And in this video, I wanted to talk with you more about the different models and tools and things you need to know in order to get started with vibe coding. And then in the next video, we're going to start actually vibe coding the idea. So I think what I'm doing is worth a like and a subscribe. So do that now so that the algorithm knows you like the content that you told me you want to watch, and we'll be able to produce a lot more of these on top of the founder interviews that we're already well known for. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the different tools that you're going to need. So if you're trying to build a straight up website, there's 3 tools that I know of. I've only used one of them. It's called Lovable. The next one is Bolt, and the last one is V0. The reason why it's important to use these when starting an app is because they have different templates and themes and ways that they start off the code base that make it a lot easier to work with later on. So like I said, personally, I have the most experience with Lovable, so I would typically just start a project in Lovable and use that to give my very first prompt from the technical documentation that I put together from the previous video. So Lovable, Bolt, and V0, from what I understand, they're all pretty much the same, but again, I've only ever used Lovable. So when you see me in the next video, I'm going to be using Lovable to get started. So the next few things that are really important to use are Supabase, GitHub, and Netlify. Why are they important? So GitHub is your repository management. What is a repository? Repository is the software that holds all of your code base. So any line of code that you've written for your website and or your application exists in this repository inside of your GitHub account. So it's really important to have a GitHub account before you get started. If you don't have a GitHub account, it's free to use. I have a bunch of repositories on it and it is absolutely free. There's no reason to pay anything for it. And if you're using a tool like Lovable to start off with and then migrating over to Cursor, which I'll mention in a minute, then this is really important to be able to have because Lovable will hook into your GitHub with a single authorization. The next tool you're going to want to use is called Supabase, and Supabase is your database provider. And it's free to use. Every account has 2 free databases that it can set up. And so when you're creating an application, that application is no doubt going to have data. You're going to have maybe users logging into something, or if you have a blog system, whatever it is, you're going to be creating data. And you're going to need to create a database and be able to manage it. And Supabase is a really great, stable business that offers free databases per account. Again, 2 free per account. So again, if you're using something like Lovable, you're going to be hooking into your Supabase, you're going to be hooking into your GitHub in order to start the process of creating your website and or your application. So I highly suggest you set up a Supabase account and start working with that. The last tool that you're going to want to know about is called Netlify. And Netlify is, again, amazingly a free tool for you to be able to host your application and or your website. And so when you're in the process of moving the code from Lovable to Cursor, you're going to lose the ability to host your software, right? So typically people will go to a domain provider and they will buy a domain, and then people will go and view the website there. They'll use something like a SiteGround or a Hostinger, something like this. Well, Netlify provides all of those services for free. They provide you with a custom domain. It would be like your project name .netlify.app. So it's not terribly custom, but it's something free that you can use, and you can build it and you can test it. And then when you're ready, you can go on and buy that domain. Let's say it's like my business, welivetobuild.com. So you could have like welivetobuild.netlify.app. And then when you go to buy welivetobuild.com, then you're able to have everything hosted there. So you would use a Netlify in order to be able to host everything without having to pay exorbitant fees. Before I knew about Cursor, Lovable, Supabase, GitHub, and Netlify, I was paying $200 a year to host a blog website. Really, it was a static website. There was no reason for it. Now I'm paying $0 for all of it, well, except for Cursor because of the AI being able to code. So far, we've covered Lovable, we've covered Bolt, we've covered V0, they're all the same. And then we've covered Supabase, GitHub, and Netlify. These are all super, super important standards in the industry for vibe coding. And the next thing I want to talk about is the models. So I currently have 2 AI models that I go to for certain things. The first model that I use is Gemini 2.5 Pro, and I use that for architecting. I use that for product interview. I use it for the high-level non-coding aspects of what I'm doing, because Gemini has this really great ability to do analysis. And once I have that done, I start to throw the analysis into Lovable to start the process. And once I have the first few prompts done, then I'll move everything over to Cursor. I'll move everything into Netlify. Everything's already on Supabase and GitHub. Once I'm on Cursor, I'm going to start coding with Claude 3.7 Sonnet or Claude 4.0 Sonnet. I know Claude 4.1 just came out, and I'm sure every few weeks or once a month, they're going to come out with another version. So by the time you watch this, it could be a Claude 10.0 and the video is basically useless. But hopefully by the time you're watching this, it's not. So I forgot to mention real fast, Cursor is a desktop application that's like Visual Studio for coding, but also has this AI interface that's built in, tied in with different models and things like that. Cursor is also free to download, but you have to pay at least $20 a month to use it. People complained about the price increasing significantly, but hey, $20 a month is the only thing you really are paying for, then like it's really not a big deal, because Lovable allows you to do 5 free per day. So you can literally create an account on Lovable, do your 5 prompts, and then move it over to Cursor, and you never paid Lovable anything for it. So GitHub's free, Supabase is free, Netlify is free, Lovable is free. The only thing you're paying for is Cursor. And Cursor is great because with these AI models, you can tell it to do certain things. And as we get deep into the actual coding of the application, you'll be able to see details like how to improve these things. So that's really all you need to know. What are the tools to get started with for this, and what models do you need? So I hope that you found this video interesting. If you want to get started with vibe coding, tell me what it is that you're trying to vibe code in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And don't forget to share this with someone who you think could gain from learning a little bit more about vibe coding. We'll go deeper into it as we're getting into the build of the application, which will come up in the next video. Thank you for watching.